Hey, it's JD here, and I wanted to just pop in at the start of the episode to run something past you. Do you want to be the co-host for the final episode of the Pavement Top 50 Countdown? You'd be covering song fucking number 1. Of course, you'll have to share your Pavement Origins story as well. If this sounds like something you'd like to take part in, and you haven't already been part of the countdown, simply shoot me an email, jd@meetingmalcolmus.com, and put countdown as the subject line. In the body of the email, tell me why you're the person to do this job. You're the biggest Pavement superfan. You have until Saturday, August 31st to submit your application, and I will choose the winner and be in touch. Good luck to everyone, and now, on with the countdown.
Previously on the Pavement Top 50.
This week we are celebrating song number 26, Fight This Generation. What do you think of this one, Jeremy from the Falls?
This is probably, it bridges like the best run I think that Pavement has on any album.
Hey, this is Westy from the rock and roll band Pavement, and you're listening to the Countdown.
Hey, it's JD here, back for another episode of our Top 50 Countdown for seminal indie rock band Pavement. Week over week, we're going to count down the 50 essential Pavement tracks that you selected with your very own top 20 ballots. I then tabulated the results using an abacus and a bong made out of a kumquat. How will your favorite song fare in the rankings? You'll need to tune in to find out. So there's that. This week, I'm joined by Pavement superfan, David from New York. Dude, how the fuck are you?
I'm fucking great. I'm psyched to be here chatting with JD.
Oh, that's cool.
Another Pavement superfan.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you make your pre-order for the box set? Or are you going to?
I'm going to. I'm just like, it's crazy because it's like one of those things that I think a little bit like you. I sort of came to Pavement when that was like my shift to CDs, and I got all of their stuff on CDs, and then I only started getting the vinyl in the last couple of years.
Yeah. And
so literally just before this, I ordered my last piece, which was Watery Domestic. Watery Domestic, and then the singles thing looks just freaking amazing. So
it does.
Yeah, I'll order it.
The shipping to Canada is obscene, though. It's like $60 US to ship to Canada, which is like,
that's not right.
That's probably $80 a Canadian, you know? So yeah. it's like half the cost of the product. Yeesh. I don't know. So David, let's not beat around the bush here. Let's get right into things. You mentioned compact discs and your collection. Tell us about your Pavement Origins story and getting those compact discs.
Well, JD, when I was 4 years old, Billy Corgan murdered my parents. No, actually, that's not true. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I was right in I would have been, if I wasn't such a prick and took myself too seriously, I would have been right in the midst of like the beginnings of Pavement. Because, but all the people around me were like saying, I was reading stuff, how great Pavement was. And I was like, oh, fuck that shit. I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon, the indie bandwagon. And so I didn't really get into them until maybe 1996.
Okay.
Which is, they're still, they're peaking, as they usually did. And so I don't remember if it was Bright in the Corner, or no, it was, Crooked Rain was definitely the thing that kind of just sucked me in for life. And then Bright in the Corners. And I'll tell you a quick story about in 1997, I went to a Rolling Stones concert. Pearl Jam opened up the Oakland Coliseum. And I drank a lot, and I got about an hour of sleep. And the next day, because of lack of sleep, I asked the girl out in my class that I had a hard crush on to go out for coffee. We talked for like 3 hours. And then I ended up marrying her. I've been married for 24 years with her.
Wow.
But after that coffee, I rode my bike over to my friend Walter's house, and he was playing some records, and he put on Slanted and Enchanted. And I have like the strongest memory of listening to Here on his little dinky turntable. So I got into the band like 96 and 97. I saw them at where was it? The Warfield.
Okay.
And then that's in San Francisco. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I saw them in 99 for Terror of Twilight. And I've seen Jicks and Pavement and stuff since then. And I did see them in Philadelphia this last time around with my friend Seth. So that was freaking amazing. I loved that. So yeah, I mean, they're kind of like a second wave band for me because I was into like stuff like R.E.M. and the Replacements and Husker and all of this stuff. And then I got into Pavement, and it's kind of like it's something that's stuck with me, and it's definitely a pretty hardcore like relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. So talk to me about your first real-time record then was Brighten the Corners, right? If you got in 96, Brighten the Corners comes out in 97.
Yeah. It's funny. I think, it must have been Brighten the Corners. And that's still, I mean, the thing is about the records is like, I think that each of them has been a favorite at a different time, including Terror of Twilight, which when it came out, I love that record. It's like a shift in a different direction in some ways, but it's so fucking brilliant. And I just can't, I love all of the records. I'll tell you, I'll come back to that later, but, there was an interesting hole in my, my collection until fairly recently that I'll tell you about. But
all right,
yeah.
So, did you saw them in Philadelphia on the reunion tour? What did you think this time out?
Dude, it was like bliss for me. I was like smiling the whole time, which is probably exactly the opposite of what I did when the first times I saw them, when I was, thought I was fucking cool or something. But this time I was just grinning the whole time. And, I know you've seen a bunch of the shows. People were singing along, which is like not a super Pavement-y thing, but it totally was great. And also a cool thing was that my friend Seth, he has his son and some friends of his, they're all into Pavement, and they're like this new generation coming up. And so they were there. And that's obviously so cool because it makes me think of like, oh, when I was growing up and I was into like the bands from the 60s or something,
Yeah.
Like it's like a cycle, that goes on.
What do you think pulled him in? Was it osmosis from his old man, or was it Harness Your Hopes, or what's the deal?
Yeah, well, I think it's people who want music that doesn't suck, that's not corporate music, that is just fucking, it's cool and original, and it just, there's a thing that Malcolm has said in this, I think recently someone asked him like, why are you going to make another record? And he's all, no. He said, the songs exist in the present, which I love that. Like, I mean, it's such an obvious, simple statement, but it's also true, right? The songs exist in the present. And so each time you sing it, that song is going back out. Each time you play a record, it's existing right in that very moment. So it's like, I just think the music stands out. Maybe, maybe the whole Harness Your Hopes thing kind of brought in a few people, but it definitely made me slightly hopeful for the future.
Harness Your Hopes definitely harnessed my two girls.
Oh yeah.
They're both big TikTokers, and I guess that's where they saw it. But my daughter will brag to me that she's got Pavement in her playlist. I think she's got one other song, but I don't know the song.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's like something like Major Leagues or something like that. That would be my guess.
My 12-year-old daughter loves Harness Your Hopes, but she listens to Pavement. I put stuff on. I make playlists for her, and so she gets into that stuff. And
you raised her well.
I know, at least in that respect.
Yeah. So, what is your go-to record at this point? I know you said that they're all, they've all taken a turn as your favorite. But if you're feeling nostalgic and you want to hear something, which one do you go to?
I don't know. You know, I think maybe Crooked Rain is going to be the one.
Yeah.
Both Crooked Rain and Bright in the Corners.
A fellow Bright in the Corners lover. Is this right? Yeah.
Yeah, I love
There's
it.
not that many of us.
It's a great record.
It is a great record. But you're right. Crooked Rain is, what is it? It's almost like it feels timeless. Like it doesn't feel of the 90s.
Yeah.
To me, production wise, the lo-fi-ness of it, it just doesn't have that same 90s production, you know, that we were so inundated with from Seattle, you know?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the whole issue of production is like such an interesting thing too, going from like Gary as the producer.
Yeah.
And then through the different iterations of different folks, and obviously Terror of Twilight has its own story. But yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. Like, and you go back to those early like demos and stuff, and it's just they are just fucking around with sound a lot of the time, right? And I was listening to because they're streaming the singles collections, you know.
They are?
Yeah. I was listening to that today, and so I was just like a song I don't like just put on. Is it the K-Dart song or Internal K-Dart?
Internal K-Dart, yeah.
Yeah, which is like it's not like a fully formed human, you know, being. It's like a sonogram, but it's still beautiful because you can hear Spiral and SM like kind of experimenting with sounds and how they're going to play off each other and just textures and stuff. And so, you know, that stuff is really important, obviously.
I love your analogy. It's a sonogram. That's brilliant. It will be fully formed at some point, Slanted and Enchanted.
Yeah.
But early on Demolition Plot, it wasn't necessarily. You're right. It was more foggy, primordial ooze, I call it. But I like your sonogramness. That's very cool. So is there a single in the box set, one of the 7 inches that you're looking most forward to?
I don't know. I have to look at it again, but I think it'll be, you know, it's the singles have a number of songs on each side, as far as I understand. So, I'm looking forward to kind of just having a different, because it gives you like a different entry point into the catalog, right?
Yeah.
Because you're listening to these singles and then some of the B-sides and then some of these other tunes. And so, yeah, it was interesting listening to the Summer Babe. It sounds like the vocal is mixed differently from what I'm used to. Maybe the whole thing, I guess they're all remastered, aren't they?
I think they are, but on the Summer Babe 7-inch,
yeah,
the one with Baptist Blacks and Mercy Snack, I think
so.
It's not the winter version. That's the designation on Slanted. It's the winter version. This is the original, right. You know, the original Slanted. As far as I understand,
right? That makes sense because it was the single that came out right before.
Yeah. So it might have had a little bit more work on it on the winter version. So good ear on you. Do you want to get into this and flip the record and talk about the song number 25?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do this. We'll be back right after this.
Hey, this is Bob Nastanovich from Pavement. Thanks for listening. And now on with a countdown.
25.
Someone took in these pants. Somebody painted over painted wood. And where he stood, no one stands. It's been said he's sitting now in the church. watch the camera lens when the rises fade. Slow it down, song is sacred. And brother, you're a hunter and you're right at home. And in the morning light, I'll hold my ashtray tight. I can take it down, and you can't take it down.
Song number 25 is our first entrant from the masterpiece Watery Domestic. It's Shoot the Singer, One Sick Verse. David from New York, what are your initial thoughts about this song?
Shoot the Singer, I think it's probably one of Pavement's most perfect songs. Like if you just listen to it, the textures, it's such a beautifully textured song. And like the production is pretty unique, I think, for them. It has this really, I think it must be, this is the Watery Domestic is where Ibold and Bob join the Spiral and SM and Gary. And I don't know exactly who's playing on what and all that, but I'd like to think it's Mark. And that bass, it kind of has this kind of cool buzzing sound. It reminded me of Us from Piglib, but then I listened to it and it doesn't really play out. But it's just a cool kind of the bass is kind of has a beautiful sound. It also has, and I don't think I even noticed this until listening to the song a bunch in prep for this. It has a really what sounds very much like a really perfectly kind of mixed acoustic guitar in the back, but really kind of mixed in just so. And and that's just like one of the things. So like they have the verses that have this beautiful kind of more kind of relaxed, mellow tone. And you hear, again, like really nice interplay with Spiral and Malkmus. And then you get to, I don't know if they're really choruses, but it's like Slow It Down, Song is Sacred, and, those two. And then the distorted guitar comes in, and it's really such a cool like contrast with and then it goes back to the sort of more little chill verses, and then it has that outro which is freaking, it's so good. It's just it's a cool thing because it so that, again, one of the lines that stands out in the song is "Slow it down, song is sacred," and you hear Malkmus sing, and his vocalization is super. It's really beautiful on this song. I think it's one of his best, really, performances in some way. And it's really kind of, there's like an urgency to it that is not always there, but that's not what you want for every song. And in the end, it kind of is like, it doesn't technically slow down, but it kind of is like he's slowing it down and try to get more out of the song. And he wants to stay in the music. And there's the la, da, 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 da. And, which made me think about, so this is Shoot the Singer. It's a song that has references to music in its title and maybe a little bit in the song. And then it made me think of other songs like Cut Your Hair has that kind of, the non words, but vocalization right?
Right.
So a lot of and that's another song. It's about music. So it's like I feel like there's a few others that I can't remember now that have Pavement songs that sort of have like music themes or songs about songs or whatever. They seem to often go into that, la 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 kind of shit, which is really cool. It's kind of like pure music without without words or something. I don't know. This song, it's such a beautiful song, and obviously Watery Domestic is, such a like masterpiece. And I owe you like a massive I owe you massively because super fan that I am, I've seen them a bunch and I had everything, and I had gotten like westing and all of that stuff and listened to that stuff before I discovered in the last like 5 years, don't fucking mock me, dude, Watery Domestic. And it was because listening to Meeting Malkmus. So somehow I had seen that fucking rooster, right? I had seen that rooster, but I had never like listened. I mean, I think I must have heard a song or two, but I was like completely oblivious. And so that's like such a joy to just like discover what
a cool thing to find that.
Yeah, it's in large part to your podcast. So thank you.
I'll take the feedback. I love it. But I think that it's important because I came to Pavement late as well as your situation with this record. To me, it's an absolute bonus to, in the midst of loving a band, uncovering something that you didn't know about, and you're listening to new music that is old, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, right.
And it's right in that sweet spot, right in the pocket of Slanted and Crooked Rain, right? So it's like, what a fertile period,
Yeah, it's peak. It's total peak Pavement. And it's interesting too, because it's like Gary's last stand. And you listen to it, and I think in some ways, I'm all the love in the world to Westy, right? Who just is great.
Slays. I love him.
But like in a certain sense, like Gary, at least at this period, his playing was more like Pavement-y. You know what I mean? Like,
sure,
it's more. It's a little bit more rickety, slapdash, and kind of. I hate to say slacker or whatever, but it kind of like it.
Right.
It really fits in. Of course, they kind of Westy kind of. It's a slightly different direction, but I mean, I love them both. But that EP. So it's the cool thing is like I have no nostalgia about the record. I just listen to it. It's right now. It's happening, and I get into it. But I feel like it's a song that has two standouts, and that's Frontwards and Shoot the Singer.
Yeah,
and they're set up like perfectly with Texas and Lions Linden, right? Because it's just such a perfect little sequence. You can't get a more perfect EP out there. So the other thing that I wouldn't mind mentioning is I grew up 50 miles away from Stockton.
Gee whiz.
And so like it's hot and boring and like those songs like Lions Linden especially, but also like Summer Babe and a few others, they totally evoke that landscape of like bored, kind of just like like suburbia. It's kind of like a little bit almost beyond suburbia in some ways. It's kind of this, every street is straight line, all of that stuff, and and then there's the Delta and the girl mixing a cocktail with a cigar, all that shit, So it's like very, it's very evocative of that whole landscape.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about this EP. Like you mentioned, they're standouts, but I would it's Sophie's choice to pick the number one, and I would include Lions Linden and Texas Never Whispers in that.
For sure.
It's just so goddamn good. And even when you listen to Lux and Redux and you get like Greenlander and I forget the other two right now because I'm an asshole. But even those outtakes from Watery are spectacular.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Greenlander is another one of those sleeper ones that's such a freaking cool song.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Where do you think, in the scheme of things, this song was rated 25, so right at the halfway point. Do you think it's overrated, underrated, perfectly rated? What do you think?
I think I'm glad it's not any lower, like, you
Me
know,
too.
because I would put this in the top 10, 15 for me, for sure. Of course, it changes all the time, like, you know, whatever. But I think 25's, it's fine. It's, you know, I'm not going to go on a rampage. I'm not going to go on a rampage, JD, against your fans.
Did you vote?
I didn't vote. You know, I saw the call and then I meant to and then I didn't. But
So many people have reached out and said, oh, man, I missed this. But
yeah,
there was enough to make this 100% valid, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what I got.
Right
How about
on.
you? Is there anything you want to plug or mention?
Listen to the Bug Club, man. They're amazing. They opened up for Pavement in the UK a few dates, and I got into them from that, and they're just become one of my favorite bands. The Bug Club from Wales. I don't know, that and Permanent Ceasefire. That's about it.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I like giving the tips. That's nice. That's what we've got here. Song 25. Stay tuned next week when we cover song 24. In the meantime, thank you so much, David from New York. And be sure to wash your goddamn hands. Thanks for listening to Meeting Malcolmus, a pavement podcast, where we count down the top 50 pavement tracks, as selected by you. If you've got questions or concerns, please shoot me an email, jd@meetingmalcolmus.com. To podcasts and such.